Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody to the Summer Blockbuster Review. This is a special double bonus episode. This is our first double bonus episode. Today we are going to be talking about Hercules and Lucy. I'm going to say it again. We're talking about Hercules first and then Lucy second. As always, today is my gracious co-host Richard Optimus124. Say hello, sir.
What's going on, people?
And you know me as Harry, aka the Mind of Q. So, Richard, let's go ahead and kick it off with your thoughts on Hercules.
All right. Now I'm gonna be honest with you. This actually shocked me because Hercules was better than I expected. It wasn't great, and I would say it's borderline good, and it's only because of the way I think things played out towards the third act of the movie. But I didn't hate it. Like I thought that we were going into this thing thinking that Hercules was literally going to be that movie that we were going to trash completely all the way through, and it actually had some redeeming qualities. Like there was actually like they tried to do a different take on the mythos, like very similar to how Maleficent did. But the thing was, is that, see what now?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. How the myth, how he wasn't a demigod, how they tried to humanize.
Yeah. So it was kind of. I like that they did that. They actually incorporated a little bit of a. We'll get into that part later. They incorporated a little bit of a twist towards the end of the movie that I thought was actually pretty cool. And the thing about both of these movies, and which kind of surprised me, is that Hercules is really like barely an hour and a half long. Like it's I think like 100 and I forgot how long. It's like maybe a little over an hour and a half. But I liked it in the sense that it was better than I expected. It's one of those movies where I would say this is that if you go to see it, it's one of those. It's like you would go seeing this movie knowing kind of what you're getting into, and paying for it, you won't feel like you got cheated because you really don't get anything that exceeds your expectations. But is it like you must go see this movie this summer? No, not at all. So it's worth checking out. I just don't think it's like anything strong. I think that The Rock was great in his role. I think his supporting cast actually added a lot to the movie, especially the dude that played Hot Rod's dad, who was kind of like the prophet. He was hilarious. Like
he was hilarious.
He was hilarious, and then the guy that was basically like the little rage monster, he was hilarious too. And I kind of had some feels at the end of the movie about the way things played out for that character. But overall, I have to say that it was much better than I expected. It was, the fight scenes actually were pretty cool. I mean, the premise of the story was actually really impressive because the one thing that kind of, I guess, bothered me a little bit was that they, like, basically the first 5 minutes of the movie is every trailer that you saw. And then you have the movie that you're actually seeing. So that was actually kind of cool how it explained it. Like, because Hercules, in this lore, it's like he's a man who was made into a myth versus actually being the myth itself. So it was a very different take on the movie, but I would have to say that I enjoy it. Is it like a strongly recommend or anything like that? I mean, it's like, yeah, if you got nothing to do on a Saturday, sure, why not go see Hercules? It worked. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. Hercules functionally was a good action movie. My only gripe with Hercules was that some of the story I didn't quite follow. Like, I thought I might have missed something in the movie because I didn't follow with wife and kids. I was waiting for his wife and kids to get killed, and maybe I missed that. I don't know. Did you see that?
Nah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was in there, but wasn't.
Yeah, I thought I was in a drunken stupor while watching. They kept on referring to it, but I never saw it, so I just thought it was on me. Maybe I passed out.
Yeah, I take that back. Actually, they did show something leading to that.
Okay, but
they did.
I really want to piggyback on a lot of things that you said with the movie. Is that the action sequence were great. The trailers didn't give you too much of the action sequence, so you went to the movie and you saw new stuff that you hadn't seen before. So that was a big plus. The movie itself, of course, I'm forced to watch everything in 3D here in Atlanta, so the 3D was actually pretty good. It was well worth the price of admission. Yeah, a lot of the arrows, a lot of the spear throwing, a lot of the club swinging action was the popping at you 3D, and especially when the guy was throwing knives, I jumped several times. Not gonna lie. So
Okay.
yeah, the 3D was very well worth the price of admission. Like you said, this movie was barely an hour and a half long, and it still, to me, felt as though the middle part of it was a little dragging
I would agree.
with it.
I'd have to agree there.
So I was kind of happy that the movie, like if this movie would have been Transformers 4 long, I probably would have took a nap. That's
Yeah.
the whole setup to this movie was
Right.
not entertaining at all. But once it got going,
Hmm.
it kept you
I'd
entertained. And
agree.
I will agree with you on this that if you're looking for something to do on a Saturday afternoon or a lazy Sunday, yeah, go check out Hercules. It's well worth it. It's got its moments of comedy relief. It's got its action.
Hmm.
You're not going to see any great dramatic performances that are Oscar worthy, but it is well worth the price of admission. It
Yeah.
is functionally a good movie. So, with that being said, the Hercules portion of this show, and the one spoiler that I want to throw out there is what you alluded to earlier, is how it seems like it's a trend in movies that we're seeing because we saw it with Batman. We know the story of Batman, but they broke him down to a human. We know Iron Man, and they broke him down to a human. And we know Hercules as this mythological being that was all strong, almighty, all powerful, and they broke him down to no, he was just a regular guy who had a lot of help. And I
Right.
really like that part of the story.
Yeah, I thought that was actually one of the more impressive things because really what I when I as I was watching the movie, the parallel that I thought of was this was like Gears of War set in ancient Greece because you
Yeah,
had
I
like
thought that same thing too.
because you have every person, like every character that you had, like what you call it would be Hercules would be almost like Marcus Phoenix, and you got the guy who was kind of like Dom, and then you had the one crazy dude, and then you had the chick that was the the necessary female character that had to be around for the things. Does very cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. Um,
Yeah.
and had the little rage monster guy. So I mean, it was a very different take on how you would look at Hercules. I was talking to another friend of mine. I explained how the movie was, and she was kind of thinking that, hey, well, they're kind of changing the mythos or retelling the mythos. And I'm like, well, I'm kind of glad they did that because it's not like you're going into the movie watching exactly how you would expect it to play out. It's not like pretty much what I was kind of going into thinking was this is gonna be like a shot for shot remake of exactly how the story of Hercules went, and this is more of a realistic kind of breaking, like you said, breaking him down to where he's just a man who happened to have a really good marketing presence to do what he needed to do. And I don't know if you saw, did you stay at the very end? Because the very end of the movie was actually pretty cool because all the scenes you saw in the beginning, the illustrations at the end were basically how those things
Yeah,
actually happened.
thank you. I would like, after watching the credits, I would like to see a prequel to this movie of the 12 Labors of Hercules, because that was one of the things as a kid reading The Legend of Hercules that
Right.
really drew me to his character were that, oh my gosh, this is a regular guy. Because in mythological, when reading it, you really don't know that Hercules is a demigod when you're reading
Right.
it. Then after he completes his 12 labors, he finds out that he is a demigod. So I thought that was the movie take on it was pretty cool, but I would like to see a prequel movie because what's it an action comic or what do they call it?
Yeah, it was an action comic
Yeah.
that it's based off of.
Yeah, the action comic, it actually kind of made me. This is one of the rare instances where I would like to read the
Mm.
action comic so I can get to know what they based off of. It's kind of like when I first saw Sin City, because
Mm.
I didn't know that was an action comic. Then I was like, oh, okay, I definitely need to read who this Frank Miller is. And that actually brought me into reading the whole album as well. So thank you, Sin City, for that. But yeah,
Right.
this movie here was pretty. I really, it's really kind of funny because we're about to go into the Lucy thing, and I don't want to allude too much into it, but this movie really it shocked me because, like you said at the beginning of the
Yeah.
review, I was praying for this movie to be horrible, so I wanted to put this movie in the woodchucker so bad, and I'm going to have to apologize. I really can't say it's a horrible movie.
Yeah, I can't either.
this movie might actually be bought if it's on sale for a great price when it actually gets released. It's not 1999 worthy,
No, not at
but
all.
it's definitely worth a solid $10.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say that would work.
Yeah,
I
it's
could,
I could watch this movie again. It's how should I say it? Like 22 Jump Street. I'm good with that. I don't ever have to watch that again. But I could watch this Hercules movie
right.
again. Yeah.
So what would you grade it if you were saying to? Because I know we got two movies to work on. So what would you grade it if you were
So
going to
if
grade
we're
it?
grading this one, if this movie, it's going to be really hard because when I look at it, because like, is it Captain America worthy of action quality? No. Are the CGI effects in it as good as Edge of Tomorrow Transformers? No.
Nah.
But it's not a bad movie. So I want to give this movie a B rating. But then the B rated movies that I've given, I've always tell you, yeah, you need to go see these movies.
Right.
So I'm gonna give this one a C plus, like
Okay.
the highest C plus, like a 79.999. I really want to give it a B, but it's not one of those movies that you have to catch in theaters. You can honestly, yeah, the 3D was cool, but it doesn't take away from the movie. So if you watch it on your screen at home, you don't have to experience this movie on the large screen format to enjoy it. It's nice at whatever setup you have at home. So your ranking, sir?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that because I was talking to some of the guys earlier and I explained my thoughts on the movie and I would have to totally agree with you. It would be a C plus for me because exactly what you're saying. It's like I want to give it a B minus, but if I do, I feel like it's in the same realm as some of those other movies that I'm like, yeah, you should go see this. So I have to kind of bring it back just a little bit. The story was good. It just like you said in that first act for a setup, it kind of just dragged a little bit. But then once it actually got moving, it actually was fairly well paced. And the way things played out, how they actually, bridged those gaps between, him being a demigod and a myth, and then just really just figuring out he's actually just a normal guy. Because they never really say that he's actually a demigod in the movie at all. It's just like people hear of the legend of Hercules. Uh, it had pretty well timed humor. All the cast, it wasn't seem like no one was a throwaway in this movie. I can't say anyone did any great performances, but everybody played their part well enough to, you're like I can remember who this person was in each scene.
Yeah, and I want to give some further, I don't know, definition to my C plus ranking. And I'm going way back to my lesson when I reviewed that one, and I said there was that one scene when we were all walking up to church where I could point out, it's like, yeah, that's fake. There were several scenes in the Hercules movie
Yeah.
that I was like, fake. Definitely, that's CG all the way. And the big one it was one of the most, like, I don't know if this the epitome, or no, that's the wrong word, the epitome, that's what I'm trying to say, or the
Yeah.
climax. We're talking about movies, the climax of the movie is when he's pushing over the big statue. I think that's Athena.
Yeah. Well,
That he's Hera,
Hera.
yeah, it's Hera that he's pushing over, and I'm thinking, okay, this is cool. And then it just literally broke down to something that was done on a 486 computer. It looked like that's how it was. No way in the world did I think, yeah, he's really pushing over a statue, and those people are really there, and that guy is really getting smashed by the head of Hera. That was totally, totally, totally fake. Now,
Yeah.
the boar, the lion, the hydra, the harem, all those looked great. So don't get me wrong, the studio, y'all did a great job with those. But that one scene and there's several other scenes when they were fighting in the chariots and they was going around in the circle,
Oh yeah,
cutting the
that
people
part.
with
Yeah.
materials. I was like, yeah, no, 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 no. So that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. Like, if this movie didn't have to compete with Iron Man, I'm sorry, not Iron Man, Transformers, Edge of Tomorrow, Captain America, it might have a solid shot. But like, there's no
Yeah.
way this movie, even Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I mean, there's no way this movie is even in visual
Yeah.
special effects. Don't even try to think you're going to get a nomination for that. There's no way. There's several other projects out there, much,
Yeah.
much, much better, much. The Desolation of Smog.
Yeah. I still
Was
haven't
that
seen
it?
any
Yeah.
Donovan movies. Yeah, but that's the one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in its entirety, but when he's down in the cave and the dragon is down there, you literally think there's like an 80-foot dragon really roaming the planet Earth. That's how good they make it look. In this movie, they didn't. Their budget, they spent it more on costumes
Yeah.
and body oil for The Rock. So ladies, go see that. He's shiny. But
Oh, speaking of which, I had the thirstiest woman in my theater. Every time that I showed up with a shirt off, man, it was like, she said, "Oh my goodness, oh, please keep that shirt off." Oh, like, please, lady, stop. Like, the thirst was strong with that one.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
so yeah. So that's why I'm giving it a C. And now let's go ahead and transition into Lucy. And I'm going to go first on this one.
Please.
Yeah. Because I believe 2 weeks ago, you and I both were so excited and finally get a chance to see it. And no spoiler alert here. So the movie starts off pretty good. It has a good start. I'm going to say that. It has a really good start. And then the movie develops and you learn more about the drug and how it affects the body and what it's really doing to her and so on and so on. And then you have an ending. That's really all I got to say about this movie here. I really don't. When the credits started to roll in this movie, I wanted to know what I just watched. That I was so lost in this movie. Because okay, usually when I watch the movie, the way I do these reviews, people. So I'm giving you all my secret. This is how I do these reviews. I watch the movie. I write down some notes. I review my notes. We talk about it before we go live, and then I recite this all off the top of my mind. With the Lucy movie, I don't know what to put down into my little cell phone so we can talk about this movie. I understand that she took this drug, she started colonizing her brain, and then it was almost a Notebook. I don't know what happened in that movie either. It's like what is
Yeah.
Richard? I'm sorry.
All right. Here's the thing about the movie, because I actually took some notes, and it's unfortunate because we went into Hercules thinking we were going to trash that movie, and it actually was a solid effort. I get out of Lucy and I was like, man, Hercules is going to give it a run for its money, because boy, I mean, it's one of those things, we walk out of a movie and you literally are like, what just happened? Because the acting wasn't anything bad. It was basically the premise of the movie. The story was plausible. It was all right. She got 20% of her brain power. Things happen, and you're like, okay, cool. And then it literally jumps from like that to literally like I'm watching Star Wars Force Academy 101, and then she becomes at the end of the movie Dr. Manhattan. That's pretty much what happens in that movie. Like there were some scenes in the very beginning that had like animal cuts that were trying to show like the primal nature of human beings. And that was cool, except they only did it in the very first like 10 minutes of the movie, and that was it. They never used it again. So by 20% of her power, and again, Lucy is another very short movie. It's only 90 minutes long. She had 20% of her brain power, and she was basically Neo at that point. She was emotionless. She was virtually invincible.
Can I stop you right there? Okay, because I'm sorry. This is probably the second or maybe third time I've ever done this to you. So when she had 20% of her brain power, and like you said, she was basically Neo, I'm thinking, okay, this movie is about to pick up. I was excited. And then, continue.
Yeah, and like you said, it was like she was basically just saying she had all of her powers, and she was trying to understand things. And that was the one thing about the movie. They never really gave her any mention of how she was able to cope with her powers. It's like she just had the powers, and all of a sudden it unlocked everything. The one premise that you have to look at is this movie is very similar to Limitless in this premise. The difference with Limitless is that he was not actually a genius at the moment of when he started. He had to learn all the things, so he was able to obtain knowledge. It's like Lucy just kind of just absorbed it somehow through osmosis of being just on Earth. So that was just strange. I didn't really care about what happened to her in the course of the movie because by like the first 30 minutes in the movie, she's like pretty much, Neo walking through the entire movie. So it's just kind of like, why do I really want to sit here and watch this for another 75, 80 minutes? Then, you know, it was a good premise. It was a good idea. It's just, they had some information about, human potential and knowledge and all that other stuff, and that was great for what they were trying to go for. It's just at the end of the day, the CG, which we'll get into that in a couple of seconds, but the CG and the events that took place just didn't even show anything of what they were even trying to accomplish with that movie. So I mean, the thing about this movie, the best sequence of this movie probably was the whole universe formation sequence. That was kind of cool actually, because some science stuff I was watching not too long ago kind of went into some of those theories about stuff. But way too often in that movie did you have to like smash the "I believe" button way too many times. And then
way too many times.
then I say this movie only works if you're tripping on something, you are drunk or really, really high. You probably enjoy it.
That's exactly what we said leaving out at the end of that. You need to be high to watch this movie. That's the only way this movie really makes sense.
Yeah.
Here's like the only thing, like what you said about the creation of the universe and whatnot. The only other scene that I would give them credit for that was cool is when she was driving through the streets of France in that little car.
Yeah, that was actually all right. Yeah, that was all right.
That was a cool scene. That was a cool scene. I'll give him props for those two scenes in the movie. Yeah, that was cool. Is it worth the price of admission? Absolutely not.
No.
Because they explained in the movie that, cells, once they've outgrown the use of one host, they look to expand into a new host to become something better. That is the evolution of man. And the first time it happened, you saw her turn away into space, and I thought she died, but apparently she woke up in a hospital bed, chained to the bed. I'm like, did I black out again? What did I miss there?
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry. By the way, we're spoiling this now. Yeah.
Yeah. So, don't see it.
Yeah. Period. Don't see it. Yeah. Period.
Yeah. Just don't go see it.
Just don't go see it. Yeah. And what was it? Morgan Freeman's character said that once a human being reaches a certain level of brain capacity, that they seek to become something better or to pass it on to later on in life. And I'm just thinking, okay, with that being said, why did she turn into a computer? Because anybody who's bought a computer knows in the next year there's already something better on the market. She basically made herself obsolete again.
Yeah, I didn't like. I
thought she turned into some like new form of human or angelic beast or something.
Yeah, it was, because it went literally from science fiction, like it was somewhat grounded in reality. But then like after that part where she was on the airplane and stuff, after that part, the movie just said, you know what, screw it, I don't care what happens anymore. We're just gonna throw this on the screen.
After that part, the movie needed to flash. Please hit your I believe buttons.
Yeah, because I don't know. I really didn't know what I watched after that. It was just, you were literally just watching like CG. This would be probably the sci-fi equivalent of a complaint that someone would say about Michael Bay. It's just extreme excess. It's like, yeah, I know that it's about science and they tried to explain things and whatnot, but none of it ever really worked. It was like, and I know it sounds like you don't want to compare it to another movie that's got a similar premise, but Limitless did the job. It just did the job better. In terms of, I appreciate what they were going for, but at the end of the day, really was just like, it was a CG spectacle. Let's show how we can show someone be a Jedi and Dr. Manhattan all at once. It's really all that I got from that movie.
Yeah. So, like I said, we were so excited. Like, whoever edited the trailer for Lucy needs an Oscar. Because he or she got people in the seats with that trailer being edited. I thought this movie was going to be epic. I thought it was going to be amazing, and it was a huge letdown. It wasn't M. Night Shyamalan letdown, but it was a letdown. It was. This movie, like, if you don't believe me and you have to go see it for yourself, so be it. I'm telling you now, save your money. Don't even Redbox this. If you have an HBO subscription, wait.
It
If you have a Netflix subscription, wait. Let our mistake be your profit and just wait for this movie.
Yeah, please, because
There is,
yeah, there's nothing about this movie like when I first walked out of the theater, I thought it was like, okay, maybe it's all right, and then the more I think about it, I'm like, nah, no, I can't do this ever again.
yeah. They they were handing out customer review surveys when I was walking out the theater, and I was like, "You
Really?
really don't want me to sign that because I'm going to put two letters on this sheet and hand it back to you, B and S. If you want a word, it's going to be refund. I there's because
Yeah.
I really hate, over this medium right here, trashing it. That's okay. How many people are going to see this? Really, I do appreciate you for watching, but it's not going to affect. But I know those customer surveys are going right back to the theater, and I really hate to put somebody out of a job because they tried. They tried.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it was a decent attempt to try to do something that was different. I admire that, but it's like once the movie started picking up, it's all of a sudden it's like sci-fi overload. It's like some stuff like that whole computer sequence, like how she was able to manipulate matter or whatever. I'm like, wait, how are you able to manipulate matter because you have more knowledge
first of all,
directly? Yeah, I
how
just
do you go back in time and
yeah, man.
move? You don't freeze, you don't burn up, you just go back in time. And
Yeah,
you downloaded your consciousness into a USB jump drive?
I mean,
What?
you don't know what kind of flash memory she had on there, man. So we don't know the possibilities there, but it was just that whole sequence was just kind of like at that point is when I literally checked out of the movie. Like at that point, I was like, I am glad that I know the running time of this movie is 98 minutes long because it was like that happened like it like what like 70 something minutes into it,
Mhm.
and I was like, yeah, I'm done here. And then the universe formation in reverse, that was actually really cool because if you know anything about like the Big Bang Theory and all that other stuff and how they tried to like show multiple universes in a sense, that was actually really really cool how they did that one sequence. But other than that, I really can't say there's anything that I would say I'd go back to this movie for. I also hate the fact that they basically wasted Morgan Freeman because at the end of the day, he was pretty much a throwaway character because anybody could have done that role. I think it's just the fact that he was Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight series. Everybody thinks he's a scientist now because he's in that movie. He's in Transcendence, which unfortunately I heard was also terrible. I didn't get to see it, but I know it's on Blu-ray now, so I might try to check it out just because I can get it for like $1 and some change. But well, rent it.
Transcendence. I actually wanted to go see that, but it
Yeah, I
was
heard
out
it
of
was.
the theater before I can even make it down there.
That's a pretty good sign that it was terrible. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, I don't
But
know
go
if
ahead
this
and
movie.
throw your ranking out there.
Yeah, It's like you don't want to say it's an F because F is like a total failure. There were like one or two redeeming qualities. It's a D minus, hands down though. I can't say it's like the worst thing I've ever seen before, but it was just like oh, like walking out of that movie, it was just you're sitting there thinking like, man, did I just trip off on something? Because you walk out of there and you're like, I don't know what I just like. It's this the marketing potential of this movie, and then what actually showed up at the very end and how it was resolved. It was just like, man, this is so far removed from what I was expecting. So for me, D minus. Don't go see this movie.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give it an F. I'm going to say that I would definitely give this one a lower ranking that I gave Godzilla and 22 Jump Street because this is by far the worst movie that I've seen this summer.
Yeah.
It's totally flipped from what I expected because I thought Hercules would be the worst movie
Uh,
that I saw this summer. So this movie is, yeah, I'm gonna say D minus as well. I can't justify anything higher than this. Is that I mean, Scarlett Johansson was acting wise. I'm talking acting wise was pretty solid. Morgan
Right.
Freeman was basically a throwaway, like you said. The guy who played the cop in France was pretty solid. He didn't have any dramatic lines to give out there, but he did have some quiet lines. He tripped me out one time. He told her, "I really don't think I can help you."
You know what that line was there for? That line was basically there to keep us as the audience reminded that, hey, we know that you don't care anymore, but we're just going to use this guy to show you that, hey, you possibly can. Because she can't die, but he
Yeah,
might.
yeah, he
So,
might. Okay, yeah.
yeah, that was the only reason why she was there.
The CG in this movie was worse than Hercules.
Yeah,
This this
yeah.
seriously looked like something from probably the N64 computer processor.
I'd go a little better than that. I'd say it's like a Sharknado on Sharknado.
Sharknado.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
Sharknado status.
So yeah, you don't think you know for a fact when the CG comes on screen. You know for a fact when the CG leaves the screen. There's no fooling you there, buddy. So
Yeah,
this movie a solid D. So this one in the bag, worst movie we've seen this summer.
yeah.
But we
Totally
do,
surprised.
yeah,
Totally
totally
surprised with.
surprised, totally
Yeah.
surprised, totally
Because I
surprised.
was expecting Hercules to be something terrible. I really was. And I walked out of that movie. I was like, if someone told me that they wanted to go, because Hercules wasn't long enough, it's not like super long. So if someone said, hey, let's go see Hercules, I'm like, all right, I'd ride with you on that one. Because it's not like you're killing an entire afternoon,
Yeah,
to go see it.
definitely. After watching Lucy, if someone would have been like, you know what, this movie was terrible, let's go see Hercules now, I would have been okay. I would have been
Right.
okay with it. Yeah,
Right.
I would have been okay with it. So now we're entering the part of the show where we talk about next week's selection for the summer blockbuster review, and we have Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep, and from what I'm hearing, everybody is like, that movie is awesome. Like, beyond awesome.
This movie is basically Marvel's test because unless you are a true nerd, because me myself, I've only heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy because I have read what Thanos did,
Right.
or or what Thanos does. I don't know anything else outside of that, so I knew they existed. Really don't know any of their backstory
Right.
about it. So this movie here is basically going to prove, can Marvel take a unknown series or unknown characters from the comic book realm and bring them to the big screen and draw an audience. So this basically opens the gateway for one of the superheroes I would love to see have a movie, which is the Black Panther.
I was just about to say that. Every brother on the planet is like, if this
We
works, Black Panther is coming.
we are waiting for the Black Panther, Luke Cage. We
Right.
know the Falcon's already been introduced. We stood and we saluted that dude when he got out there. We're like a positive black role model, and he didn't go to jail to get his superpowers.
Right.
Salute him. So
There you go.
because if you think about it, beforehand we had Spawn, which he had to go. What if he went to jail, got burned, and died.
Yeah. Basically
Yeah,
went to hell.
yeah.
Came
So
back.
and came back. So and the black superhero, not that much in the stand for. So I'm kind of excited. If this movie does well, let's get that Black Panther movie going.
Yeah,
So
it's got
and,
because they got
let me go
what
ahead and say that Wesley Snipes can play the Black Panther, and you really don't need a costume because he's black
oh,
enough.
that's messed up, man. That's messed up, man. Well, he's in the Expendables, though, so I mean, well, that'll be a litmus test to see if he can still act. So I mean, we'll see, because I think, man, the Expendables and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes out in the same weekend too, actually.
You
I think.
know, I saw that extended trailer for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and my meter went from like basement to a little bit higher. Well, my camera is inverted, so let me switch arms. So it went from basement to a little bit higher on the interest meter because that first teaser trailer, I would,
Yeah.
I don't want to see this. But now I know Splinter is still a rat. Shredder is human. So I I'm kind of going with it. they really haven't said are they mutant turtles yet versus the alien thing that he originally said that he was going to do with them.
No,
So
they threw away the alien thing, so that's so
they
you
threw
ain't
away
got
the
right.
alien
Yeah, the
thing.
alien
Okay.
thing's done. They actually in one of the trailers they actually make a joke reference to that.
Okay. So yeah,
So, so we're good on that front.
we're good on that. So I believe that one is 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
That show. So we're I'm thinking about we might do that one because we were only going to do Lucy this week here, and I'm so glad I talked. Or no, we were going to do Hercules this
Right.
week. Yeah, and I am glad that we did Lucy because I finally got the one movie we got to trash. I think
We
yeah,
ain't out yet because turtles, turtles could be
Turtles.
bad.
Turtles could be bad.
It could be bad. I don't think it will because it looks like they got enough fan service in there to at least where it'll probably be entertaining. But whether or not it's going to be great, I don't know. I'm not looking. I'm not looking to get very much out of it personally.
Okay, so just stay tuned. We are definitely doing Guardians of the Galaxy for episode 10 of the Summer Blockbuster review. And by popular demand, if it's cool with my co-hosts, I know I said earlier I was going to shut it down in August due to football season, but I'm just going to change the show title from Summer Blockbuster to Movie Blockbuster, and we're going to continue on through the fall because The Equalizer is a must-watch as well as Stellar is a must-watch as well.
They got a couple of movies coming out in September, man. Because you got the Equalizer, then you got the November Man, which comes out in
Yes,
September. Which I found that was kind of funny. We should have waited for that one to come out in November, but whatever.
and
Um,
also The Kingsman as well.
yeah, I do want to see that too. There was another trailer in there in one of in Lucy, and that's the sad thing. I actually wrote down the trailers that came out of Lucy because Fury. I don't know if you saw that on your screen. It's a movie with Brad Pitt about it looks like they're in World War II. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, check the trailer for Fury out. Fury looks like it's gonna be pretty interesting. Uh, it's got Brad Pitt, Shia LaBeouf, and he doesn't look like he's a crazy guy. And it's quite a few other actors. I can't remember all their names right now, but that one looks pretty good. And then another movie called The Judge that comes out in October. It looks like
yeah, with Robert
Robert
Downey
Downey.
Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, and Robert Duvall. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's probably gonna be really good. It's very clear that that's Oscar bait though, because they're like Academy Award winner, Academy Award nominee. It's like, yeah, y'all are shooting for an Oscar with this movie. So yeah, so that's gonna be. I'd like to see that one also. So right now, I saw that. Looks like The Kingsman comes out in October, Fury's in November, and The Judge is also in October. I don't know what the date was. Let me just put the month.
Well, it is very interesting because pretty much the summer is every weekend you guys have to come out, and I was looking at it as well. It seems like they're going to stagger them month to month, so we are going to have several Sundays where there's no show. So everybody, stay tuned. The Google invites will go out a lot sooner. I was very, very inundated this weekend with work and personal endeavors, but I will get back on to them out a little bit sooner.
We know Guardians is gonna happen, so we might
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
get that one ready.
Guardians is going to happen 7 o'clock. It is. I'm hoping it's going to be another epic one, like it was for Transformers, where the whole show is an hour long, but we're trying to keep it to 30 minutes.
Right.
So let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Richard, well, you know what? If you're a fan, you know how to find us. But Richard, go ahead and say
Yeah,
shout out.
it's right down at the bottom, right over here. Yeah, right there. There you go.
There you go.
You're good. You're
And
good.
there's mine right there. Yeah, it's right there. And I'm gonna just go ahead and apologize. I said I had several photos to upload, and I just got back from a Braves game as well today, and I've just been my photography. So there's really no new content out there, but go check it out. I do appreciate your views. Once again, thank you always for watching. We only had one question to answer, and it was to trash Lucy. And
Yeah.
like I said, people do put forth a good try. This is their job. This is what they do. You go to McDonald's, you get a bad hamburger, you go back and throw it back in the person's face and tell them that they sucked at it. No, you just go to the McDonald's down the street from now on. It's just that,
Yeah.
with Lucy, it was a good movie. We didn't trash it as much as probably some people wanted us to. We're just telling
I
you,
think we trashed it enough.
we trashed enough. We told you not to go see it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't go see that movie at
Yeah.
all. Just don't.
But stay tuned, people. We will be back next week to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Until then, stay classy.